साले ban भी उधर.
Okay, we started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to One United. As you can see, there's a sudden change over here because Paritosh is logged in with his mobile, and I'm actually, after a very long time, hosting the entire segment. So I hope everyone's good over here. Anshuman is here with us after a very long time. Paritosh is here. Actually, all three of us are here after a very long time, and it's for the big game. Why will we not be here? It's the
Yeah.
Manchester derby. We missed out against Leeds. We missed out against Crystal Palace. Rest in peace, the Queen. But yeah, I was honestly truly annoyed when we missed out on some primitive fixtures. I missed Manchester
No,
United
man.
because
Fuck the Queen. Fuck the Queen.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that anyway. Anyway, going ahead.
Demonetized.
Anyway, going ahead. Manchester United taking on Manchester City, and plenty of
Big game.
expectations.
Big game.
It's a massive game. It's a massive game. We have the momentum. I don't know if we might have lost it, considering that we did not have some football for the last 2 to 3 weeks. The good thing is that our lads did really well in the international break, be it Diego Dallo, Bruno Fernandes was decent as well. And apart from that, Cristiano Ronaldo, well, we will discuss about it. It's been sad from his, if we talk about his perspective. But anyways, so first and foremost, Paritosh, let's bring you into the fray. Let's talk about
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford. All right, so he's the
Yeah.
player of the month.
Player of the
So
month.
first
Yes.
and first and foremost, did you like? Obviously, you could say that it's based on the nomination, and then you have to vote for that individual, knowing that they're the most like no most number of fans in the world, like Manchester United fans. They will of course vote for Marcus Rashford. But you truly think, does he deserve it? I honestly feel that it's a good move. I feel that it is. But do you feel that he truly deserved it? And yeah, so
I think I favor Marcus Rashford quite a lot. From anybody who has been watching or listening to us from a long while would know that I've been a big avid supporter of Marcus Rashford. And yeah, for one instance, I do think this is a good move because he scored in two big games that were the challenge for Manchester United against Liverpool and against Arsenal. These two games would have decided the fate for Manchester United and Eric Ten Hag in some ways, because this could have impacted the club in a very negative way. And kudos to Marcus Rashford because of his play. He got the Player of the Month, and Manchester United got their points. And this is also, I think Manchester United should be a case study for anybody who's feeling down and out. That you only require certain movements to turn the tide in your favor. And I think Manchester United do really have a certain sense of composure about them, a certain sense of other teams will respect United more now. Obviously, Manchester City game is a huge game, but for Marcus Rashford, I think it's a good move, and I think he deserved it because of his performances. Although do think that he can play a lot better. He's still gun shy. He's still lacking confidence, which is quite evident for most of the Manchester United fans and even football fans who have seen Marcus Rashford throughout the years. That this is not his current best, but I think this is a good boost for him, and I do anything that comes his way that is good and positive regarding his football. I am all for it.
Anshuman, let's get to you now. What I wanted to ask you about Marcus Rashford is that he's had his fair share of criticism. Even if you talk about this year, there have been plenty of people saying that he's not the ideal centre forward, and he wouldn't do decently well if you persist with him as a number nine because his holder play needs to be improved. And yes, rightfully so. And I think even Rashford is aware about that. But for the very first time, I feel that he's being used in a really good system over here. He's a proper system player, and he's for the first phase of Eric Ten Hag's managerial tenure at United, he's turning out to be a really important player for Manchester United, and especially in the derby, which will be on Sunday.
The thing that we need to keep in mind regarding Ten Hag's usage of Rashford number nine is that he needs movement in that position, which is something that Martial was providing. Martial is much better as a traditional number nine role than Rashford is, certainly in the way that Ten Hag wanted his number nines to play. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo is out of the equation for the time being. He cannot offer that. And in the first two matches, what Ten Hag realized among many things was that the kind of idealistic possession-based system football that he wants to play at the end of the day is not something that he's going to get to do that from start. And because Martial got injured, And because then Anthony came along, and the one thing that we know about Marcus Rashford is that while he likes to play off the left, he's not very good at tracking back. And when you have Sancho and Anthony, you have in them two wingers who are much more who play much better when provided instructional coaching, much like Eric Ten Hag does. And they are much better in that regard, insofar as they can complement the fullbacks at the back much better, and they can come back and they track back a lot more in a more disciplined way that Rashford does. So what Rashford does offer as a number nine is that all that motion, all that pace, on all that technical ability that he offers on the left can be utilized as a number nine as well. Because when you are playing as a number nine, you are no longer asked to track back. So that problem that is usually for Rashford of the left is already taken care of. And what is now asked of him is, because now that United have changed a bit of a pragmatic system, teams Ten Hag's United is inviting the other teams to play on them, which opens up spaces behind the defense line, which is where Rashford comes in, because he gets to take a run. So in this very particular system where Rashford is being asked to play, I think he's doing his job, because a lot of strengths that he has, the pace that he has, the ability that he has to just make a
Passing is
forward
fine.
and the acceleration that he has, the difference between acceleration that he has, that he's able to leave players in his wake. Those are the kind of qualities that he's able to utilize as a left winger and as a number nine. And right now, as a number nine, that is working out for him. His finishing qualities and his overall positional awareness as a number nine leaves a lot to be desired, which is not really much surprising, because he's not a traditional number nine. He always likes to play of the left. But in this role that is Ten Hag asking him to play, I think he's checking a lot of boxes. So as a makeshift solution, I think that's quite feasible. And yes, as far as individual awards are concerned, they are functionally, they have absolutely no point. But I think if it makes Marcus Rashford feel a little bit better about himself, then I think it will go a long way into boosting his own confidence, which is something he has needed, especially after last season. Marcus Rashford.
Well, definitely, yeah, and that's a solid response, I feel. And if you talk about Marcus Rashford, like one thing I wanted to add over here is that he is a big game player. The reason why I say that he's a big game player is for simply because the system that he fits into right now is like Manchester United, like Eric Ten Hag's forte is ball possession. Right now, he hasn't been able to do that to an extent. He needs a little bit of time, because of which right now we're relying a little too much on counter attacking, especially when we face the bigger teams. And when you give Marcus Rashford half a yard of pace, or when you play with a high line, if you look at what Arsenal did, or even what Liverpool did, and Bruno Fernandes with the ball, he just whizzes in, and Marcus Rashford is off his bike. So that's why I feel that he right now at this moment of time he's an important player of us, and he should remain like completely fit. And the good news is that he is fit right now. But let's talk about him a little later. Let's move ahead with the manager of the month, Eric Ten Hag. Now, people might have their debates about Marcus Rashford probably not being the deserving player of the month, or probably being that. But for Eric Ten Hag, I honestly feel that this guy truly deserved it, because the scrutiny that he was getting first and foremost from the pundits, if you talk about JB Carragher or anyone else for that matter, it was it could have been traumatic for any manager, because you're coming into a new league, you're being questioned by Carragher and Neville as well, and then there are people questioning your signing. They're saying that Martinez is not that he isn't that centre back that he should have got in the Premier League. He's short, and all those stupid kind of arguments. But all of a sudden, now you look at it, you look at his back line, you look at that midfield, and yeah, the attacking force needs to be little worked upon. But we look like a team that loves playing together now. This looks like a team, finally, after a very long time. So the way that he's changed the mood, I think kudos to him. So what do you guys have to say about that, Paritosh?
I do believe that Eric Ten Hag deserves a lot of credit, and he is getting a lot of plaudits, as he rightly should, because the thing with Manchester United job is that there are highest of highs and lowest of lows. Uh, it's a very volatile club that we have. It's a very volatile fan base, and what gives way to that is that media knows that mentioning Manchester United and the whole Manchester United thing is going to garner views, and that in turn leads to media always talking about Manchester United, the manager here, the players here. So I do believe that it's wrong when the managers get criticized more than they should be. But the positive side of that is that they get acclaim very easily if they become successful. And for Eric Ten Hag, I think this is something that needed to happen given the results that we had recently. And obviously, if he does well, he's going to get a lot of support behind him, because the fans, especially right now, behind every, I don't think there is a single Manchester United fan that is going to go against Eric Ten Hag or saying something like Eric Ten Hag should is not the manager for Manchester United. Everybody, I think, in the Manchester United fan base right now feels that Eric Ten Hag is the guy, and what these results and what this kind of trophies will do is give him more certainty and give him more of a power in terms of the board backing him more. So I do believe this is well worth it. I'd like to hear Anshuman about this regarding Eric Ten Hag and him getting the manager of the month.
Hmm. Well, I mean, like I said with the player of the month thing, the individual awards are they don't mean anything to me from a functional
Yeah,
point of view. I get the point, but yeah, the thing that I have liked about Eric Ten Hag, and I have mentioned this before, that after the two games, when he was handed an aggregate defeat of 6-1 by the likes of Brighton and Brentford, he realized that whatever it is that he was trying to do, whatever that was paying off in the preseason, was not immediately going to work out. So he immediately went to a pragmatic setup, and that is something that I really liked, because I was starting to get worried that maybe if this is the kind of guy that wants to play out a certain style of football and he may stick with it, that would become a problem, because when we had suffered those two defeats, immediately the next five fixtures were starting to look really ominous, and you were starting to worry that if United don't pick up a point in the next five games, what happens of Eric Ten Hag? Because then every single defeat, every single time you do not go out there and get points, it just exponentially worsens your situation.
piles
And I
on.
was really very worried for Ten Hag himself. But yeah, the way he decided to relent in his pursuit, understood that immediately this is not going to happen, and went on to take on the pragmatic approach, and that it worked out, is something that he deserves a lot of credit for anyway. And so yeah, that is one thing that I really liked about Ten Hag, because my entire hope for this season is that he's able to establish a core of players that he trusts, and he has a few fixed ideas that he's able to implement and get across to the rest of the team, that okay, this is something that I want to be our foundations, and this is something that we can build upon. So yeah, we will see how it pans out over the rest of the season. But yeah, the way that he was able to pull United back after those two very bad defeats at the start is something that he deserves a lot of credit for.
Well, yes. So you've heard it from Paridosh and Anshuman. Eric Ten Hag deserves a lot of praise, and yeah. Let's move from the manager to the two players who can turn out to be really important for us in the derby and who have proven themselves when it comes to the derby. It's Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial. So we've spoken about Marcus Rashford. So now let's talk about Anthony Martial. And there was plenty of speculation going on around that Anthony Martial is likely to be unfit again, and he might not feature in it. Another thing that I really liked is that he kept it. I don't know if it was intentionally done by Eric Ten Hag because there were no, or it was just something which just happened because. Uh, Anthony Martial was really late announced the day that he will be there. He is fit, and he still hasn't confirmed it that he's match fit. He just said that he's training. So it might leave Pep Guardiola in a bit of a split over there because Martial and Rashford have created quite a few problems for Pep Guardiola in the past, and that might result in him actually formulating his tactics in a
Overthinking,
way. Yeah,
overthinking
and
like he does in the big matches.
He does, yeah. We've seen that in the documentary as well. If you talk about All or Nothing, he spoke about how Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino terrorized him, and he wanted to know if they would be playing or not. And similarly, I think it would be the case with Rashford and Martial, and I really want these two guys to start playing again. First and foremost, the chemistry is something which has been immaculate over the years, and it's sad to see Cristiano Ronaldo's dip in form, but yeah, it's time to accept it that he needs to sit on the bench till he finally discovers it again or doesn't
No, man.
discover it.
I have some views about it as well, but you might continue. We'll talk
All
about
right,
this.
we'll talk about Ronaldo as well. But right now, I think Martial as the number nine and Rashford on the left is something which excites us all. So, Anshuman, what's your take on this? How important can these two guys turn out to be on Sunday?
Well, we have already seen what Martial can do when he's allowed to play in big matches, and I think when he is on confident, when he gets the backing of the manager, he usually comes good. So I just hope that we don't take a risk from an health point of view, because already players are being taken to an absolute brink, and Martial's recent injury record has been a bit dodgy. And I just hope that we only put him in the match if we are 100% sure that he's fit, unless it's okay to take him out for a while and get him back in the long run. That is what I'd advocate for. And it doesn't matter who, Martial or Rashford, uh, are the ones starting at the number nine position come Sunday. But I think Martial, if he starts, he will be the bigger problem, because as a number nine, in that number nine role that Ten Hag demands, he, from a positional point of view, he offers a lot more threat to their centre back pairing than Rashford would. Rashford will still have that turn of pace and the ability to leave the defenders in his wake that Martial also has. But I think Rashford's positionally would be slightly a bit of a disadvantage. But I think, depending on the fact, I don't know if you're
I
going to
think
tactics later,
if
but I think centrally, as long as we have someone to occupy the centre backs and have that threat that, okay, on the counter we can completely just beat you and run you into the ground, I think we should be good.
Yeah, I think also think that there is a possibility if both of them start the game, we can play with two strikers up front, with Rashford coming in from the left in the role that he likes, and Martial playing a more of a center forward, center striker role, because that's the proper position that both of them really want. I think Martial really wants to go from the center, and Rashford really prefers dragging the defenders a little wider and then shooting through towards the box. From what I believe is that the bigger question would be if both of them are fit and both of them are going to start, who is going to start in the front three? Because Anthony is going to start according to Eric Ten Hag. Jadon Sancho is also a strong candidate to start because of his form. So somebody is to start on the bench. I don't think we are going to go in the match with four forward players against Manchester City. There is a possibility that Anthony or Jadon Sancho could be playing in a more of a midfield role, but I think that is more upon Sancho rather than Anthony.
I've got this feeling that if you remember in the game against Liverpool, Martial had this cameo in the second half. And
Yeah,
considering that he's been away from action, even if we talk about international action, he hasn't been playing any football for a while now. So I don't think he's going to start. I feel that he's going to come in the second half, and we might see Rashford, Sancho, and Anthony starting as a front three. And
yeah,
even if you remember in the Europa League fixture, who did we face? We faced Sheriff. Yeah, I think it was
correct.
Jadon Sancho who was actually who actually featured there as a false nine. And
Yeah,
given Jadon Sancho's like ball awareness, his ability to be press resistant and all that, I think it could work for 45 to 55 minutes. I think, and then we might see it transitioning into Martial coming in the second half, and then Rashford shifting to the left or Anthony to the right. So that's what I feel. I think Rashford, Anthony, and Sancho might be the front three for tomorrow when the match starts. It might change later
okay.
on.
Anshuman, what do you have to say about this regarding who is going to start? Do you also believe that Martial is not going to start even if he is fit, or
I
Eric Ten Hag should go with Martial?
I think my feeling is that I don't think he's going to change the lineup at all, because
Okay.
this is something that has been working for him in a while, and
Yeah,
team is coming back from a break, and I don't think he's immediately going to upturn all of that, especially in a big match. So, given that his pragmatic approach over the last three games, I think he's just going to look at it. He's going to say, okay, this is what's been working for us. We know that we have empirical evidence that it has been working, so let's just continue with this, and whatever tweaking we have to do, we'll do it afterwards. And if Martial is to be included, he may come on in the second half as well. So options are obviously there, but I have a feeling that he may not change his lineup at all.
okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
fair enough.
So Anshuman is basically persisting with the same front three and the same lineup as well. So
Yeah.
now let's just talk about the significance of this derby. Okay, so guys, we lost the first two games, then we beat Liverpool, and then We beat Leicester City as well. Before Leicester, who did we face? I'm not quite able to recall right now, but we beat another team, and then we faced Arsenal, and we beat them as well, who were basically the Invincibles in the start of the season. So we've beaten Liverpool and Arsenal, and there's a good chance that we might, given our track record with Manchester City in the past, you never know, we might nick a 1-0 or a 2-1, or we might lose quite badly, even considering Erling Haaland's run of form. We'll talk about him as well. But if we do manage to beat Manchester City, I have this question for both of you. We're 12 points. We have 12 points on board right now. We'll be on 15 and just 2 points behind Manchester City. And considering that Arsenal have a tough fixture ahead with Tottenham, Antonio Conte's Tottenham, do you honestly believe that Manchester United do have a chance of doing something impossible, given that they've beaten three teams hypothetically if they beat them tomorrow? So,
No, man.
Paritosh, let's start with you.
No, man, no, no. I don't think it's fair on Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United to be put under this kind of pressure. Also, I do believe if we beat Manchester City, there is going to be a lot of questions regarding, are Manchester United finally going to challenge for the title? Is this the side
Yeah,
that is going to take them through? Obviously, there are going to be questions. This is Manchester United, and if we have big results, this is going to be the case. But I don't think this is the approach that we should have. If we are to build a team, we should also understand that the Premier League is this particular season is going to be the most competitive season that we have seen in the Premier League for a long while, because Tottenham are looking really good. Chelsea, although they are struggling, they have the resources to come good in any part of the season. Liverpool are a great side. They can also come back if they have their midfield sorted, because their only problem is that they have too many injuries at the moment. Manchester City are looking incredible, especially with Erling Haaland. So I don't think it's fair on Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United to be considered a contender straight away after not even being able to finish in the Champions League spot in the last season. Although there are going to be question marks, and United should believe that they should be trying at least to get as higher up the table as possible. But I don't think it is realistic for Manchester United to be considered as a title challenging side, especially with just not even 10 games done.
Anjuman, what would your reaction be if we do manage to beat them somehow? So, how would you react to it?
I don't. I think I'd be as nonplussed as I usually am. I won't take it to the extreme. I don't think United have it in them for the title charge as much as you can speculate in a season that is so unprecedented in its very design.
I agree.
But yeah, so I don't think I'm not that worried about United having a title chance or anything. I think given the comments that Richard Arnold made recently after United's finances of last year confirmed were released, I think it's important for them to end up in the Champions League places. So
Mm.
that is one thing. It won't be the end of the world for me. I think, as far as I'm concerned, they can end up outside the top six for all I care. But as long as, like, something that I keep talking about again and again, that as long as Ten Hag found his place, found his foundations, found his core of players, I'm fine with it. And if United are to end up at eighth, for that to happen, then I'm fine with that as well. But yeah, I don't think United. That is the advantage that Ten Hag has going into the season. That don't really have a lot of expectations. You can think about winning every single game, but you're not going to. And United are going to slip up. They're going to make a lot of mistakes, and we need to make ourselves ready for that as well. Because this is a season where
Yeah,
he's going to
because they are going to be
understand.
frustrated. They're going to be frustrated. We are going to lose to sides that we are not supposed to lose to, and then
Like
we will also
that defeat.
well,
So
then
those
we'll
kind
also
of
raise questions regarding Eric Ten Hag and the side.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally
you
agree
can
with.
continue,
Yeah,
please.
I completely agree with both of you over here, and I honestly feel that it's going to be a topsy-turvy season. We better be ready for it. But you know why I'm excited about this season is because he's systematically trying to improve things, and if you look at it, he's taking it step by step. He's improved the backline, and then once he's improved that, the midfield will also transition into something really fluid. We'll be seeing much fluid football from his end. And once that's there, the attacking, if we look at our offense, that's been a problem. That's been the only weakness so far, because we've just scored, I think, 8 or 9 goals so far in the season, and meanwhile Erling Haaland has scored 14. So there's a big gap, and but in spite of that, like I said, there's that togetherness, that sense of belief is steadily returning. Still a long way to go, but we are turning into a team which is now hard to beat once again. And I really hope that this turns out to be the case again on Sunday. But yeah, now it's time to address the elephant in the room, and that
I just
is
Mm.
Okay.
I just want to see a very competitive derby. I don't want to see a
Yeah.
lopsided result. Even if we lose, it should be a well fought loss. It should be there should be signs of positivity. There should be players at least creating trying to create chances, causing disruptions in the Manchester City
Mm,
stadium, because the last game that we had with Manchester City, where we looked completely out of it when Sancho scored a goal, and I remember in the last 30 minutes I was almost frustrated. It was almost like Pep and City were bullying United at their home turf when
yeah.
Jadon Sancho scored, and it was one of the most bad feelings I have had watching a football game for the team I support. I watched the 6-1 game live, and even
Mm,
that was not this bad, because that was a very to and fro game. Although
mm,
City were able to score three late goals, and the result seemed so lopsided. The 4-1 game against City last year, that was probably the hardest pill to swallow for me, because that showed the levels we were at. It was so bad that it was looking like Man City are playing against a side that is going to get relegated. It was so bad for the
mm,
last 30 minutes. I couldn't watch the match uh, looking at the screen directly, because it was so it was disheartening to watch United like this. It was almost like they were kids playing against men, and that is something I don't really want. Even if City win, fair play. They have a great side. Erling Haaland score. I don't care. I just want to see United playing good football, and United able to compete at some level. And no, it's I don't want City to just control the ball and move it around, and just uh, piss on United in front of their fans, and the Etihad going crazy at every pass. That is something I don't really want. I just want to see a competitive derby. Talking about Erling Haaland, I also want to talk about Ronaldo before this, because what I said about Manchester United regarding the media, add Ronaldo into the mix, and this becomes a whole volcano for the media likes, views, and everything. Yes, Ronaldo is having a tough time. If you remember the final few games of the last season, when Ronaldo was scoring, Ronaldo scored a hat trick late on in the season, and Messi was struggling at PSG. I remember seeing the Champions League game of PSG and against Real Madrid, I think, and it was almost like I couldn't believe how bad Messi was. His reactions were off. His pace was gone, and it was almost disheartening, because I've seen these two growing up, and I have idolized Ronaldo and Messi for their footballing prowess, and seeing one of them get so bad, and Ronaldo just at least being able to score goals, it showed that in the long term how much his training has paid off for him. And I think Manchester United and Cristiano Ronaldo, this is not the first time for Cristiano Ronaldo that he's not had a great start to the season. If you remember correctly, the season in which the three-peat started, the first of the three-peat, Ronaldo was injured because of something, and then he came back. He was not able to score goals in the first 2 3 months. He just bamboozled everyone in the final, say, 7 months or so. So I do believe Ronaldo. It's a matter of time. He must be going through some things because he's aging. He's not used to this kind of treatment regarding his performances and everything. But I do believe that he has the mental capacity and the physical capacity to come back and score a lot of goals. What I see in the media and what I see from the whole situation is that what I always say, football fans are fickle. If he comes in and scores 2 goals in every game for the next 3 games, Ronaldo would be on top of the world. He'd be the greatest player ever to live. And just because he is not scoring goals right now, he's currently out of form. And yes, he looks a shadow of himself in some games. But I do believe you can't lose the quality in like a month or so. He was looking a great player, a great goal scorer 3 months back, and that can't really change over a period of 3 months. It's only form, and it will come back, I do believe. For Erling Haaland, I think the world is his stage, and Erling Haaland, I don't think there are many defenses in the world that can stop him right now in this Manchester City system. But I hope the duo of Varane Malacia, and the trio of Varane Malacia and uh,
Martinez.
Martinez are able to get the better of him, and at least stop him from scoring another hat trick against Manchester United, because he'll be looking for some revenge for his dad.
The thing with Erling Haaland on some occasions this season has been that he's gone missing in some of the games, but he still scores. Even if he's
Yeah.
not playing well, he still manages to score, and you have to be
He's a
careful
goal
of that.
scorer. He's a proper goal scorer.
He's gonna break every record this season. I feel he already has 14 goals. That's You just have to respect the guy for it. No, and I and recently Jamie Carragher has just like recently said that the only way for Martinez to handle Erling Haaland is by staying away from him, which is a little disrespectful, I feel, because Martinez has been one of the signings of the season. He's done a really good job so far, and um, I honestly can't wait for that battle. To be honest, Martinez and Haaland, in spite of what people might say, but that's one battle that I'm eagerly waiting for. And for Haaland to thrive, one I think there's one specific individual who is one of the key reasons for his success, and that's Kevin De Bruyne. And Pep Guardiola has been playing him on the right this season. If might have noticed, on some games he's drifting a lot towards the right, and you can expect those balls to get fizzed in inside the box within a moment, within a minute or two, and which leads to an Haaland tap in or a header. So I think if you actually manage to stop that channel somehow, if you manage to contain Kevin De Bruyne, the creator of the team, then there is a possibility of stopping Erling Haaland. Anshuman, what's your take on that?
I mean, first of all, when Erling Haaland scores these many goals, it just tells you what happens when a Manchester City system has a focal point. Because what we are seeing right now is not new in terms of City creating chances. Because what has
Yeah.
happened up until now is that City's goals, the goals they score, are distributed among the many players that they play. But now, since they have a proper number nine to fill up that spot, they don't really need to have the rest of the team do that. So he's the one scoring goals, and it's working. So tactically, Wali, like you have pointed this out, what City have done essentially is created in their attacking apex. They create a system of 2-3-5 or 2-2-6 if the other team is just too relenting in possession. Because Erling Haaland, for all his one of the greatest assets that he has is his ability to appear out of absolutely nowhere. Whether he's arriving in the back of in
His
the
position.
behind the back of a defender, whether he's just putting a leg in, putting a toe in the middle of the pitch, in the middle of the 18-yard box in a scruff, and those kind of things don't are very underrated because that's not a rainbow flick, it's not Trevella, it's not a 90-yard pass, but those are the things that make him very lethal. So he doesn't need to have 10, 20 touches in a match. He can just score the 3 goals with 3 touches, which is something that he has been doing. But the negative aspect of it is that because he's not going to contribute in the build-up play as much as someone else in a non-conventional number nine role would do for Guardiola in the previous years, he requires the rest of the players to pick up the slack. So every single one, slowly, what he does is essentially asking the rest of his team to come a lot nearer to Erling Haaland up front of the pitch. So what we have seen Guardiola do most of the time this season is he's playing a 2-3-2-3-5, and the two defenders that are left behind are Ruben Dias and Manuel Akanji, or John Stones or Nathan Ake, whoever's pairing Ruben Dias on the day. And you have Joao Cancelo, who off the left just joins into and become the part of the front five. He's either going to cut into the left half space or he's going to hold the width on the left. And you have then Kyle Walker, who instead of going into the front five, goes into the midfield three alongside Rodri. And alongside Rodri and Kyle Walker, you have a third player, mostly in Bernardo Silva, who's going to be the progressor of the ball. So he may even end up being a part of the front five, becoming a front six if the other team just completely gives up on possession. Doesn't happen in a game like Manchester United, and I don't expect it to be here as well. So he will be part of that third, but the one who will connect the defense with the attack and bring the ball out from the back. And because Kyle Walker is not that far from the defense line, that cheat code of a pace that he has, that can still be used when the other team is trying to counter you. So that thing is still there. And Kevin De Bruyne playing off the right, like you said, he's the one that is operating in the right half spaces. He's the one that drifts out from that midfield trio, allowing Kyle Walker to get that space in. And what he does, he plays off with the right winger on the day, whether it be Riyad Mahrez or it be Phil Foden, and he allows him complements that player. So if that player is holding the width, De Bruyne will stay in the central areas, mostly in the half spaces. If the other person is cutting inside, he will hold the width. But the challenge that City has in this setup is that And because no system is perfect, and as good as this is in creating chances, and especially creating chances for Holland, especially when Kevin De Bruyne is playing out wide, bringing those balls in, and Joao Cancelo on the left bringing those balls in, and Jack Grealish dictating the tempo of the left, dragging the opposition players towards him, further opening spaces for another player like Bernardo Silva to enter the fray, or Ilkay Gundogan. So all of those things are fine, but your wings are still quite error prone still, because if a team like Manchester United, especially Solskjaer's Manchester United, if they were to be pitted against this team, you could bloody well expect someone like Marcus Rashford and Anthony Elanga going off the left, or even Dan James playing off the right, just for their pace, just what they could offer on the counter, so that before Man City could even realize what would have happened, they could just get a chance, which is something that we have done in
And
the past. And
and
that is
this is
will be a problem
uh,
for City on Sunday as well. But Sancho and Anthony are not as fast players as Rashford and Dan James are. So I don't think I don't really think it's going to be that much of a counter-attacking pace on our end. But yeah, the wings are City's weak points when they are being pinned on a counter. So that's where I would target things. I'm not sure how Ten Hag is going to find a solution for that. We are all going to find out on Sunday. And if it were up to me, I would not have Sancho and Anthony on the right and left respectively. I would have Anthony Langa on one end and someone like Rashford on the other, which has its challenges, but I would take them on for their pace. But I don't think that is happening. I think I have to believe that Eric Ten Hag has a much more complex and to be successful plan in mind. So yeah, we'll see. And this is how essentially City are able to capitulate on Holland's prowess as a number nine. And those are the weak points that they have going into Sunday.
I think from what I have seen of Manchester City, this is not a complete Manchester City side. What has happened because of the entry of Holland is that everybody is trying to feed him. He is the focal point, as Anshuman said. And what that has done is that every other player is looking to play towards Haaland and create something that is more focused towards one particular player. And the system has compromised a bit regarding that sense. And we saw that happen in the Newcastle game where they drew 3-3 all, and they are conceding goals. It's not that they are looking a complete side. They are not a complete side in any given sense. So what I believe, this is not the side that will score 100 goals. That will score 100 points, because they're going to slip up. There are going to be games where Man City will score. There are going to be games where Man City will concede goals they are not supposed to, and that's why I believe that this particular season is going to be competitive, and Manchester United do have a chance against a City, uh, particularly because of this particular thing. That from what everybody has seen, there is there is an there is a particular way to beat City, and if Ten Hag is able to capitalize on the powers that United have, I think United do really have a chance of upsetting this great Man City side.
Well, to put things into perspective over here, like although we might say that this is a great Manchester City side, let's not forget they've conceded. They drew against Aston Villa. They drew against Newcastle. They conceded few goals against Newcastle. They conceded two against
So
Crystal Palace. And
they drew against Barcelona as well, no? If I'm not
no, no,
wrong.
they Borussia Dortmund did give them a run for their money. It was
Yeah, yeah,
until like Haaland scored two late
yeah.
goals,
Yeah.
but they've had their struggles this season. So I really
No,
feel that we
no,
might.
they played a friendly against Barcelona, right? At the Camp Nou.
Yeah, yeah.
Then they
So like
drew 3-3 all. Yeah, I think.
So that's been the case so far for City. Although they might seem a really solid team and Haaland has been doing remarkable things, but they can be beatable on the day. So moving forward now, the final segment, let's talk about the predictions. Anshuman, what do you predict? What's going to happen tomorrow, on Sunday?
Firstly, I want to ask Anshuman regarding the Ronaldo situation, because I said a lot about Ronaldo situation. What does he have to say? I really want to know.
So I think anyone saying that Ronaldo is finished, I think it's a bit of an oversimplification and simply incorrect, because that's not how this works. Because the start of this season for Cristiano Ronaldo, and when you look at that, and when you look at the entirety of last season of Leo Messi at PSG, there are a lot of similarities. Neither of them had proper preseason. Neither of them assumed that they would end up in the place where they ended, because lest we forget, Messi was completely convinced that he would continue at Barca, and Ronaldo was completely, at least via judgment, she was told that okay, we are not continuing at Manchester United. They don't have Champions League. We are going to move to a Champions League club. But that did not help happen for him as well, because Messi had to come back into a completely different scenario that has never happened for him, and Ronaldo had to come back into a system that he thought he had left behind for good. So though there are a situation where you didn't have proper preseason, neither of them, and they had to come into an environment they weren't expected to return to. They weren't expected to come into. So what this tells you is that it doesn't matter how good or bad a player you are or whatever your legacy is. Under the right circumstances, in the wrong environment, things will always go sideways, and you will not be able to prepare. Now, on Messi's, when you talk about Messi's last season in PSG, he did not have a good preseason, and he did not really try to apply himself into getting fit properly as well, because he had a lot of time, but he instead of preparing himself in the mid-season, he went off and had parties in Argentina, which is more than his prerogative, but it doesn't reflect well when you are being paid so much by your club, and you have been specifically saved essentially when Barca could not afford to pay you. And so that was the situation. But the bottom line being that because he did not have a proper preseason, he did not have a proper start to the season, and because Liga is a very physical league, it's not a joke. He struggled throughout, especially in a system that was never going to suit him, because that's Pochettino, and Pochettino was never really fitted into whatever PSG were trying to do last season. This season again, Cristiano, okay, he took the personal time out, which is more than understandable, because again we need to bring this up. Last season he lost one of his newborn babies and he did not take a day off, and so if for familial reasons he wanted to take some time off for that, that's more than understandable. But we very clearly know via his representatives that he did not want to continue at Manchester United. And you can train individually as much as you want, but you're training away from Eric Ten Hag and his team. So you don't really know what you're walking into when you're returning into a club, you're returning to the club that you weren't expecting to return to. So his entire preseason has also been botched. But this season, what we are seeing with Messi at PSG is that he's playing under a manager who specifically created a team that can fit Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi. And he has had a proper preseason, and he has a very good incentive going into the World Cup, because we don't know what
Also
after what
Neymar,
like.
also Neymar is a
Yeah,
different player.
also Neymar, all these 30 plus players, they have very strong intensive incentives going into the World Cup to play at the best of their career. So all of those things explain why Messi is playing well, and that also by extension explains why Ronaldo is not playing well, because he was already out of the system, and by the time he came back, he had given Eric Ten Hag more than enough reasons to not include him from the start. Now, had situation been completely different, had he played through the preseason, I don't think we would be having this problem. I think he would be Ten Hag's number one choice. I think he would have kept him in the side. Even as diplomatic as he was in saying that Ronaldo is a crucial part of his system, I think he would have found a way to keep him in the starting lineup, even though not as regularly as we would have liked. But yeah, that would have been the case, but it's not the case because he did not play in the preseason, and now he's struggling because you haven't had that, and you're coming back to a club that you weren't expecting to come back to. So all of that taken into account explains why he's struggling. And if, like Pari, you said, if there's one thing you know about Ronaldo, is that he has the mental fortitude to be able to come back. This is not the worst slip ups that he has had. There have been a lot of seasons in the past decade where he starts poorly and ends up winning the Ballon d'Or. So that's something that what that tells you essentially is that backs himself up to be able to perform. And as long as he has that about him going into the World Cup, because it's an important thing for him as well. So given that all of that, I think that he will be able to bring himself back up, and as the season progresses, especially in the second half of the season, he can come useful. Because there is a lot that can be said wrongly, negatively about Ronaldo, but one thing that you have to accept unequivocally, that he has the mental fortitude and this willpower that he has, that I want to be at my level best as much as I can, as many times as I can, is what has kept him going even at 37 years of age. So he has that on his side. Now he just needs to apply himself in training and get as much time with the team, training with the team as he can, and in time he will come good, I think.
Well, I agree
Yeah.
with both of your points over here. I feel like first and foremost, like for Ronaldo, like first of all, it saddens me to see him this way because yeah, he's one of the greatest that we've ever witnessed, we've ever seen. And the thing is that look, last season, the reason why I feel that he was a big success was because, like everyone, I think, like what everyone says is that Ronaldo was the focal point. Like it was pretty simple. You just need to pass the ball to Ronaldo in the box, and hope for the best that he scores a goal. But right now, we are playing collectively as a team, as a result of which we have certain expectations from certain men. So even if certain people such as Anthony Ilanga, who we do not fancy as much, but if he fits into the system, I think we will be backing him because Eric Ten Hag believes in him. And it's fair to say because Ronaldo is in that state of mind. He's in that age that it's difficult for him to actually adapt new policy in his footballing world right now. And I think that he will steadily grow into Manchester United in this season, particularly when we play the Europa League games. I think he has a big role to play in the Europa League. I honestly feel that way. I think there are some big goals coming from him, especially when we.
Mr.
It's sad to say.
Mr.
It's sad to say. It's
Mr.
sad to say that
Mr.
it's the
EL.
Europa League, but I
Mr.
think
EL.
yeah, but he's gonna have a really big impact over there. Like let's just manage expectations over here, and it's good for Ronaldo in a way. You know how he's getting rest, he's getting recuperated, and from his Portuguese point of view, I feel that it's needed for him because this is going to be his final World Cup, whether we like it or not. We might say the man is a machine, but this will be his final World Cup, and if he's all freshened up for Portugal in the World Cup, I feel that he's going to be one of the guys to look at. So yeah, right now it might seem all doom and gloom, but yes, he's going to have his moments of magic for Manchester United this season. So, anyways, let's
Yeah,
get into the yeah. Paritosh, you want to say something?
predictions.
Yeah, let's get into the
No.
prediction. So, Paritosh, what do you think? What's going to be the score line on Sunday?
Mm, Although I'm quite skeptical about things, about matches in the regular sense, I do believe we can make this 1-1. I do believe we have the capacity, and people will be shocked regarding how Manchester United manage Erling Haaland. Because I do believe holes in his game. Yes, he has the ability to score, but from what I've seen of the Manchester United defense, they are looking like a proper solid back four. They are not going. They are not going to give them easy chances. Yes, there could be a moment where Ali Haaland gets the better of them, or two and even three. But I think most people uh, would be surprised by how Manchester United are able to cope with Manchester City. I think it is going to be a 2-1 for United.
Nice. So, Paritosh feels that United are going to win 2-1. Anshuman, what's your take?
So because Bari has already gone with the win prediction, I'm going to go a different way and say it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Because I think both the defenses have enough holes in them that the other team can capitalize on. So I think it's going to be a draw. Both teams are going to go kung ho at each other. United in their way, City in their own way. But I'm going for a draw, a 2-2 draw.
All right. I'm going to be a little positive over here and say that it's going to be 1-0 in favor of Manchester United. I think we're going to keep a
You're
clean sheet.
always positive.
It's going to
You're
be a clean
always
sheet. I
positive.
feel no, not all the time, but I feel that it's going to be a 1-0 in favor of United, and we're going to defend really well. I have this feeling, and it might bite me up the ass later on, but I have this feeling that we might defend really well. We've defended well against them in the past. I think that might be the case once again. So 1-0 in favor of United. So yeah,
Okay.
that's about it.
Any additional thoughts on
Yeah.
Shivam?
Guys, you want to conclude?
Anshuman,
In your
any
own way?
thoughts?
No, no, nothing in particular, to be honest. Just looking forward to football returning because I have been so bored over the last 2 weeks. I have very
Yeah,
little investment in the Nations League. So, yeah,
yeah.
just waiting for club football to be back tomorrow.
Yeah. Now nine. I think United have 9 to 10 games in this month
We'll try
itself.
Yeah,
to
it's
we'll
crunch time.
because
Yeah.
Crunch
it's
time.
an
Every team has a crunch time leading into the World
Yeah.
Cup.
it's an afternoon game, the derby. I think we're going to see it in the evening according to IST. We can also come live later at night for
Yeah. We
the
can.
derby post derby situation. So yeah, we'll try to get live as quickly as possible, as sooner as possible, and more frequently because we've been lacking in that sense as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, Avali, do you have any final thoughts? You are hosting, so
No, so
let me
that's
take this bit for you. Do you have any
like
final
that's
thoughts?
like Anshuman said, I actually resonate to his feelings over here. We have missed football, we have missed club football, and
Mm.
it's like I was excited to see my guys doing really well in the international break. Now I want them to do well for United as well. And special word out for Christian Eriksen, who has an arc reactor in his heart right now.
Uh,
He's been busting a gut in almost every game, and Scott McTominay as well. I was his biggest critic, but I don't know what's wrong. Well, Ayrton Hack has done some voodoo
Roy
with him.
Keane,
Oh
Roy
yeah,
Keane, Roy Keane 2.0.
he's sitting out Casemiro at this moment of time. So it's it's I don't know whether to laugh or cry right now. So yes,
His long limbs are finally coming, coming to his aid in a
yeah. So
system
I
where
just
he
so I
learned his
just hope,
trade
yeah.
from Aaron Bissaka regarding his tackles.
Yeah, so I just hope, man, we get the win. If we get this win, we'll beat three big six teams, and that will actually be that we mean business. Not in this season, but in the long run. That would actually silence a lot of people. So I really hope that we get the result. But anyways, that's about it. And thank you guys for joining in. We are One United. The match is on Sunday. We all hope for 3 points for Manchester United, and we will be back really soon to review the game. Hopefully, after bagging the 3 points. So till then. This is Boris Siddiqui, Anshuman Joshi, and Paritosh Joshi signing out. Thank you, guys.